Hello guys, so today I'll be showing roughly how to play Sniper, maybe its rotation and a skill guide. So as a disclaimer, this is generally how I would play it, and I'm not sure if I'm the best player, but I hope at least you can learn something from this. So I'll start with the skill build. So for the Archer, you go up piercing shot because of class mastery 3, and this lets you reset your arrow shower cooldown like this. Reset the arrow shower, charge shot, and see reset, so I can cast it. And because arrow shower is a BMJ skill which you should be using, so you might as well just max this for the extra damage. So over here we obviously max our health, we max this, is free crit damage, very good. And you have like around some extra points, so I decided to just dump them over here. These three aren't very necessary. One's HP, mana is not so important because as sniper you usually have mana. So for this tree, basically you go with the sniper skills on the left. So your charge shot, ACS, siege stance, arrow shower, the ulti. Over here you can pick between crossbow and longbow. I pick the longbow because it looks nicer. And these are your iframes. This is your debuff, and these are your buffs. So under sniper, obviously you just max out everything, and over here you also max out everything. So to go with the rotation, generally the first thing you want to do is debuff the boss. Go with flower, shoot fire. The rotation will be something like this. This is normally how you do your DPS rotation. So to explain the skills, charge shot. As you can see, charge shot. First it does around, just shoot an arrow like this. It's kind of meh, but if you have your siege stance, what you do is you shoot 2 arrows at once instead. So you should always use this in siege stance because you get double the damage. So the next skill is ACS. It's you can do it by either jumping and pressing the button, or you can do it with jump and left click. Then you right click for the EX, or you can also trigger it in siege stance by pressing the button. So generally this skill is a bit iffy. The damage is not very good, and unless you use the FMJ, which isn't I don't think it's optimal. But it also gives a crit debuff over here, and if you right click you get a last hit over there. So the way you use this skill is generally you just don't do it, but sometimes, as you know, we really have to just dodge. So one thing you can do is when let's say you're attacking and then the boss is attacking you, do a triangle shot, do an ACS. Yeah. ACS also extends your airtime. It's kind of useful against certain other bosses, like for example against the flower in DDN, you can extend your airtime if you mess up the jumping maybe and try and recover. Or maybe against the dragon itself, when they do some kind of slam attack, you can use the ACS to increase your airtime, so it gives you a much bigger margin of error. So it's siege stance. Most of the time you'll be in siege stance when you DPS. Just press left click to shoot, and as you can see here, once you have 20 wind arrows, you can hold right click and you fire your wind shot. So wind shot charges quite slowly, but you can use the skill camouflage over here. Press the button. It'll give you 10 wind arrows and fire and you can charge it very quickly. So what the wind arrow does is the way you get wind arrows is every time you land your siege stance, you get 1 arrow. You land your charge shot, you get 1 arrow. You get an arrow shot. So this skill is if you don't have your BMJ at +10, you'll be using this a lot more than if you don't. But overall it's not too bad, but the charge time is very annoying. So this arrow shower, if you're using the BMJ, this is your main damage skill. What you do is just fire. If you are not in siege stance, you can see the arc is a bit bigger. If you're in siege stance, yeah, it fires very good. So yeah, this is just your main damage skill. It takes a while to get going, and sometimes it's a bit annoying to use sometimes, but it gets the job done. So your other skill is the arrow barrage. It's the ultimate. All you do is basically stand down here and you just shoot a bunch of arrows. You can also increase increase the action speed through basically triangle shot. You get a buff, and you can and then now when you press arrow shower, you notice it shoots a lot faster. So yeah, basically this is one of the skills you will try and use as much as possible. It's pretty good. So the steroids, this one is just a generic one, agility and intelligence, so you get a little bit of magic defense. It's not too bad. This is Sylphid is a steroid. So what this does is it increases your action speed, so you can see faster and yeah. So one thing about piercing shot, right, is normally pressing the siege stance like this is a bit slow, but if you use piercing shot, it resets your cooldown and your siege stance should be. So the only time you really want to like left click your siege stance, right, is after piercing shot, because any other time you are really better off doing anything else. So your iframes are these two, triangle shot and fake shot. So fake shot is just tumble backwards, left click. It's not particularly useful, but having extra iframe is okay. Yeah, that's triangle shot. It's a very long iframe, extends your airtime, and you can follow it with ACS. So the reason you max triangle shot is because when you max triangle shot, it reduces the cooldown by half a second every level. So if you max it out, it's about 6 seconds cooldown, which is extremely good. So bullseye, we just use it debuff. 60 second, 20% damage debuff. Very self-explanatory. It's kind of doesn't really do damage. So this is critical break. You don't really, it's just a passive. You don't really have to care about it, but basically when you shoot, sometimes when you attack, you see there's like another number. That's because when you crit, the critical break sometimes procs, and this is basically, I think it's one of your best damaging skills, and you don't have to do anything. So it makes sniper very strong. Next one is the flower. The flower is just got buffed recently, and it's basically one of your best skills in like for sniper. So what you want to do is put it onto the boss. This charges the hero skill by 20%. And what this flower does is when you siege stance one time, the flower will pop one time, and it will launch a seed and it will explode. Charge shot does one explosion, and arrow shower does one. So basically you want to during the flower phase, you want to use as many charge shot, arrow shower, piercing shot, siege stance left clicks as possible. So that's why your rotation will look like this. Play here. Flower prop, flower prop. Then it's the flower prop, and flower does really a lot of damage. So oh yeah, one more thing about arrow barrage. When you use arrow barrage, and then you land your wind shot, you can see the cooldown of arrow barrage reduces by 10 seconds. So you want to try and wind shot as well to reduce the arrow shot. So last one is sliding shot. Right? At first glance, this skill seems kind of shit. Basically, I don't really press it from the bar, but what I can do is let's say you are attacking the boss suddenly attacks you. Press spacebar and you'll be safe. You just use this to reposition. The damage is really nothing special. You can use it for damage in the pinch, but it's best as a very long iframe. So that's about it for sniper. So your rotation will look something like this. Okay, if let's say you don't have your BMJ10, because with the BMJ10 your arrow shower cooldown is reduced and you can use a different rotation. So your rotation will look something like this. You go here. Okay, sorry. Still say it, use it whenever you can. Press this. You can see, right? Then do this. Wind shot. Go into this again. Yeah. Yeah, normally your rotation won't go this smooth because most bosses you're kind of forced. In most bosses you're just kind of forced to dodge, so you kind of have problems. So sometimes you just have to cut in the middle, throw a filler skill like ACS, throw a sliding shot out. But yeah, that's roughly how the rotation looks like. So this the hero skill is this thing where you call your elves, they take like 1000 years to come down, and then they just like do a bunch of damage. So yeah, it's because of cheating point, right? Charging 20% and it charges very easily. Your hero skill is actually very spammable. So for the skill hierarchy setup, we go with cheating point with cooldown reduction, arrow barrage cooldown reduction, critical break damage, and this blade, the last blade, is actually quite flexible. I prefer going Sales 8 because really now shot damage is not very useful. Center plate should be arrow shower damage because sniper just doesn't get cooldown reduction plates. So if you have your BMJ10, right, your rotation will change a little bit. Because what you can do now is do something like this. Because the cooldown is slightly lower, you can get more output from machine. One thing you should know about Chilling Point is to try not to use it without arrow shower. So as you can see, because the cooldown is a bit lower, arrow shower, I can start my Chilling Point again. Yeah, so when you have your BMJ10, right, one thing you should not do, right, when you have BMJ10, one thing you shouldn't do, which you try and aim for, right, is or what rather you shouldn't do is you shouldn't left click in siege stance because without your BMJ, your arrow shower cooldown's a bit too long. And then when you left click like this, you get damage. You get basically the Chilling Point will proc. So one thing you want, so basically you want to try and get as many procs as possible, right? But if sometimes your Chilling Point cooldown is too high and you'll be stuck in a position like this, right? If you do not have your BMJ, right, you just left click 6 times because your cooldowns just don't match. But if you do have your BMJ, right, and your flower is not up, I would suggest just ignoring the left click and you just go for arrow shot. Yeah, something like that. So yeah, that's roughly how to play sniper. The class it's not a very difficult class to master, but in my opinion, the main problem is when you're the target of the boss, which you tend to get aggro a lot because you always tend to hit the boss first. It gets very difficult at DPS because most of your skills, like let's say you arrow shower, you need stand still here. Arrow barrage, you need stand still, so, and then a lot of rage. That's what happens. I lose DPS, but it's a good thing if they just don't look at you. Like imagine in the raid you do this, right? And then they just start at night and like maybe let's say you charge up. You are charging like this, then suddenly the boss is going to hit you, or attack happens, you have the spacebar and suddenly you lose your damage. Also another thing about Wind Shaft is you can cancel it by using your triangle shot, or you can just tumble back, triangle shot, tumble back, fake shot. Those all work. Yeah, just tumble back and you can break out of it. Yeah, so in raids, your survival is important, so you really have to just learn to dodge. So yeah, that's roughly it for the video. So the main takeaway is your flower is very important. Your BMJ skill is very important. So you want to try and maximize the synergy between these two as much as possible. So yeah, I hope this guide has helped some people, and thanks for watching.